the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. OCF. That's me, the Outlaw of College Football, also known as JPC. Now, before I get into all this about the energetic stature that is Brent Venables, that has impressed not just me and the Oklahoma fans, but recruits nationwide, I'd like to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscriptions are most important. Keep me up and going, keep me motivated. And if you look below this video, where the like, share button is, and on down, if you scroll on down, you'll see the download button right next to it is a little heart that says thanks. That thanks button, you can actually donate a few dollars to the program. That way, I'm not so dependent on YouTube, and I can continue to be a little more edgier than most people. Now, getting right to it. Brent Venables, man. The more I try to find positive stories in college football and try to do a variation of teams, the more I'm lured back in and led to Brent Venables. This whole situation with Lincoln Riley may have backfired for USC, in my opinion. But I do believe that maybe this was a blessing in disguise for Oklahoma, because all these recruits that keep coming out and talking about Brent Venables, even the ones that don't commit right away, are saying the same exact things. Now, they got a commitment the other day from a guy that's probably got the best name in college football that I've seen in quite some time, and that's General Booty. And as a lot of the Oklahoma fans said in my other podcast and my live stream that I had the other day, they can start chanting, "We want booty," and it won't insult anybody. So there's that. But what really impressed me was something that General Booty said, which lets me know that I'm not the only one that's been thinking this, and the Oklahoma fans are not either. By the way, I want to add a disclaimer before I throw this quote out here by General Booty. A lot of these people get in here and they see my videos, they automatically assume that I'm a scorned Sooner. So let me go ahead and let y'all know right now that while I do like the Sooner Nation, they're not my team. My team is the University of Alabama. So you cannot throw that narrative at me that I'm some scorned Sooner. I'm not the only one seeing this. Here's a great quote that I got wrote down here. I don't usually take notes, but I usually ad lib, but today I wanted to get some notes on this. He says, and I quote, "I was with Venables 2 full days, and he has more energy than any coach I have ever seen. He's full of energy and speaks life into his players." Speaks life into his players. Don't just speak and energize you. He speaks life into players. And that's a pretty profound statement. I've never heard anybody say that about any other coach. He said Venables loves football and his players even more. Now, that could be considered cliche because, you know, a lot of players say that. But when they say it about him, for some reason, the tone and their voice and the inflection lends one to believe that it's genuine and it's up front. Also, here's some stats on General Booty, by the way, just in case you want to know. He's 6'3", 194 pounds. He has a good background as far as ancestry goes. He is the son of former LSU wide receiver Abram Booty and the nephew of Josh Booty, who was also a quarterback in the NFL. General Booty threw for 3,115 yards. That's a 284.2 average. Both were second in the National Junior College Association. He had 25 touchdowns. That was good for 7th. He was 266 of 436. That's good for 1st. with a completion rate of 61%. Overall touchdowns was 27. That's good for fourth on the junior college level, with a passing efficiency rating of 142.1. Now, as of 2020, the average passing efficiency rating is 93.6. So 142.1, that's pretty damn good, because I've seen some of these sites like 365 Sports, the little Baylor bias network, trying to throw some shade on it, saying the guy ain't that great. These look like pretty good stats to me. Outside the completion rate, which is 61%, which back in the day, that used to be good. But nowadays, quarterbacks are so accurate, and with the technology and how high schoolers coming out are usually as good sometimes as a junior in college, the way they've been coached up in high school. High school football is coached up a lot better than it was back in the day. Now, what really impresses me about Brent also is the fact that it's so balanced across the board. If we're going to take a comparison here with him and Lincoln Riley, because people tend to like to compare the two because of what happened, Lincoln Riley, while he has got a few defensive players, hasn't been near as balanced in order to do what USC wants him to do, and that's win titles. Even Pac-12 titles, the way he's recruiting, to me, is not consistent and varied enough for him to compete for even conference championships. Now, a couple years down the road, maybe, because the Pac-12, to me, is not one of the strongest conferences out there. That's not me talking smack or trying to troll y'all. I'm just saying, if you look at the teams and look at the overall stature of the Pac-12, it's probably the fourth best conference at best, maybe not even that. But he may win conference championships. I'm not going to completely troll the hell out of Linky boy. So Tebow may win a conference championship down the road, but as far as national championships, it's going to come back to the same thing with Lincoln Riley. Once you get into the playoffs, you're going to have to be a little more consistent across the board and have at least a modicum of a defense. I'm not saying a shutdown defense, as I've said a million times. I'm not talking about holding them to 6 points a game. I'm talking about being able to hold a team to 21 points. If you can do that, you might be able to win a national championship. But he's not going to be able to do that because his recruiting on the defensive side is not consistent enough. Whereas with Brent, he has shown that he's a defensive coach, and he has shown that he can go out and get these offensive players. As a matter of fact, I got a little note here that says he just got a transfer that a lot of people coveted in LV Bunkley-Shelton, formerly of Arizona State. And as you know, he got General Booty, and he got another quarterback. He got Dylan Gabriel to come from Central Florida. He got the guy from Pittsburgh to come to Oklahoma. So he's been able to get offensive players thus far. And on his side of the ball, he hasn't slacked either. He hasn't been one of those coaches that said, hey, I need to go over the top and just recruit as hard as I can on the other side of the ball to prove myself. He's actually in the running for Makari Vickers of Tallahassee, Florida, which is one of the, I think it's like the top 5. Yep, that's what it says here. These top 5 nationally as far as safeties go. Now, that's not a real big deal considering that Brent Venables is a defensive coach, except it's not just indigenous to his area. It's not just Oklahoma. It's not just the state of Texas or Louisiana, where Oklahoma's been known to do a lot of the recruiting. This is the state of Florida, which is just as fertile. Not quite as fertile probably, but just as fertile as the state of Texas. And for Brent to be able to make inroads to the state of Florida already, without even being in the SEC, for a player like this in the backyard of Florida State, speaks volumes to me. I mean, I could be wrong, you can correct me, but since we're doing comparisons here, I don't see Lincoln Riley going into the state of Florida and expanding his horizons. I think Lincoln's going to be more complacent and stay west of the Mississippi and mostly in California. And that's going to be the problem in the long run. Like I said, short term, USC may have a decent year the first year or two. But long term, I think they're going to have some issues. Now, Vickers is 6'1", 180 pounds. Like I say, he's number 5 nationally among safeties. And he's narrowed it down to his top 8. And the big caveat for Oklahoma on this, top 8 being Alabama, Michigan, Miami, Florida State, Texas, Oregon, and Georgia, and Florida State. The caveat in this is OU is the only school he is scheduled for a visit so far. Now, that could mean nothing. Or it could mean that that's the first team he was thinking about. It could mean many things. Or, like I said, it could mean nothing. Brent's recruiting staff, bottom line here, and the moral of the story is, that Brent's recruiting staff as a whole is more balanced and varied and consistent on both sides of the ball than anybody ever thought there would be. And like I said, you get the continuous same thing said about him, about his energy level, which is very infectious to young recruits. And in the long run, I think that's going to lend to Brent 4 or 5 years down the road being a more successful coach than Lincoln Riley was. Like I said, I'm not saying Lincoln Riley is going to be a complete bomb. He may win a conference title one day. But down the road, as far as winning the prize, the big prize, I think Brent Venables is going to have a better shelf life. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.